Volvo has had 3-row crossovers and all-electric crossovers, but it's never had one that's both. Until now. What's up, folks? I'm Dave Undercoffler, editor-in-chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. This is the first ever EX90, a 3-row all-electric crossover from Volvo. It joins the lineup alongside the gas-powered XC90. This EV packs space for 6 or 7 people inside, a range of around 300 miles, crazy fast acceleration, very cool tech, and a high price tag. So is all that enough to unseat rivals like the BMW iX, the Rivian R1S, and the Cadillac Vistic? Let's go spend some time with it and find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. Now, when it comes to pricing, the EX90 does not come cheap. It starts at about $82,000 for the base plus model and goes all the way up to $94,000 for the fully loaded version we're testing here. This is the Ultra with the optional performance pack. All right, let's start by taking a look at the exterior of this EX90. I really like what Volvo has done with the styling. It is reminiscent of other Volvos that they've got on the market today, particularly the XC90, that's the gas version. But this version, you're gonna see the grille is sort of filled in. A lot of EVs have that. They don't need the air intake, so that looks pretty cool. I also like these headlights. These headlights actually open at night. That's just sort of a nice trick. Overall, it's a very stylish SUV. I like the way it looks at pretty much any angle. And yes, under here, there is a tiny bit of storage space. Turning to the side, you can really see the very clean styling that this EX90 has. We've got the larger 22-inch alloy wheels. Those are optional. And then in terms of dimensions, the wheelbase on this is the same as Volvo's gas-powered XC90, but overall, this EX90 is about 3.3 inches longer and it's about an inch shorter. And finally, some of you may be wondering what this hump is on the front of the car. It's actually a LiDAR system. That is a laser-based system that's more sophisticated and advanced than a radar-based system. Volvo uses it to scan the road ahead of you when you're using hands-free driving. And this is actually the first production vehicle to use a system like that. You're gonna start seeing it more, and maybe you've even seen it on some of the Waymo vehicles that are in cities like Austin or Los Angeles. Finally, at the back, Volvo's really clean design language carries over here as well. You've got lights running down the edge of the glass here and then looping around over here. Really nice, modern, clean design. Looks like some of the other new Volvos like the EX30, which actually we just reviewed right here. All right, let's talk powertrains. All EX90 models have dual motor all-wheel drive as standard. The base version has 402 horsepower, while the performance version, which is a $5,000 upgrade, gets 510 horsepower. Range is either 300 miles or 310 miles, depending on which wheel size you have. Now, it's important to note those are numbers for 2025. So if you're looking at a 2026 EX90, Volvo actually made some really big changes. One is they switched from a 400-volt architecture to an 800-volt architecture. That allows much faster charging times. Volvo says that the 2026 version will add 155 miles of range in just 10 minutes, and it will go from 10% to 80% of charge in just 22 minutes. And that's provided you're plugged into a fast charger. Another key upgrade for 2026 is that the performance version now jumps from 510 horsepower to 670 horsepower. That's a huge jump and really pretty cool. The good news is range really isn't affected for 2026. It's either 300 miles or now 305 miles, again, depending on the wheel size. Battery size is 102 kilowatt hours, a little bit smaller than the 107 kilowatt hour on the 25 version. All right, now to the interior of this EX90, and there are a few things that absolutely drive me crazy, not in a good way, about this car. We'll get to those in just a minute, but let's start with the good stuff. First thing you notice is this screen. This is a 14.5-inch screen, controls basically everything in the entire car. There are no physical buttons in this cabin, but the screen itself is pretty nicely executed. The menus are intuitive. You can find things very easily. It has Google built in, so that's the navigation system you're going to use. And one really cool trick is when you put in a destination, it will actually calculate how much range you will have on the vehicle when you get there and when you return back to your current location. That's pretty nice because one of the downsides to this vehicle is that you do have this display here, digital display, and it shows you the range of the vehicle based on how you've been driving recently, and it's not particularly accurate. I've seen some vehicles, a lot of Volkswagen EVs or Porsche EVs or Audi, they all use the same system and they're all very accurate in terms of determining how much range you have. This is a little fuzzy and that does get a little frustrating. Back to this screen, it also has wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless smartphone charging. And then this display here, a lot of times on vehicles where it's really small and has a digital display, they don't show a lot of information. I like that Volvo has enabled Google Maps to display here as well. Nice little trick. And then you also have a heads-up display, so very easy to see all the information you need. Like I said, this screen also is where you would find the climate control, and that's where things do get a little frustrating. For one, the fan speed, you got to hit a button, and then you've got the fan speed adjustability there, but that's not where you would also adjust the temperature. You'd think it'd all be on the same screen. No, to adjust the temperature, you got to hit this button, you get a little pop-up, and then that's where you would adjust it. It just seems like you should put it all in the same place. Also frustrating is that there are no buttons over here. This is where you would have buttons for your lights or your mirror adjustments or things like that. Nope, all of that has been taken out and it's been put into this screen, and that gets pretty frustrating. So if I want to adjust the mirrors, I have to hit this little car button, you get this pop-up, then I hit driver adjustments, and then it uses the steering wheel buttons to control the mirrors. That's too many steps. Ditto for the headlights. If I want to turn the headlights on manually, I have to go into this same menu, then hit lights, and then adjust them accordingly. That's just too complicated. Volvo, just put some buttons over here. It may not be as elegant or as clean, but it's so much more useful and functional. I really miss that. And while we're talking about things that annoy us, it's the window switches. We saw this on Volvo's smaller EX30, and Volkswagen has done it on a few of their vehicles. I don't get why this is becoming a trend. I really hope no one else does it. But it's the window switches. There are only 2 buttons for the front windows. Then you hit a separate button, and it turns those 2 buttons into controls for the rear windows. That's just too many steps. It's very frustrating. Volvo, just put 4 buttons there and make everyone's life a lot easier. That being said, the cabin itself is really nicely executed. I love the materials and the build quality. You've got this matte wood, it's very light, gives a very airy feel to the cabin. Brushed metal accents, you've got stitched leather on the dashboard. The seats themselves are very comfortable, very nicely bolstered. We're in an Ultra version, so this is the $94,000 fully loaded version of the EX90. That means we get massaging seats, they're heated up front and in the rear, and a heated steering wheel. The only downside is they're not ventilated up here. 94 grand should get you ventilated seats. But overall, the build quality of this, it's so solid, feels very substantial. I'm loving that aspect of this Volvo. One other key change Volvo made for 2026 is they replaced and upgraded the onboard computer on this vehicle. So the processing speeds are going to be much faster for the new model year, and there are new AI features. It also enables more sophisticated advanced driver safety features. One other annoying feature is that this is the key fob. Now, this may not look like a big deal, but if you'll notice, there are no buttons on it. And that gets frustrating in real world use. If you're standing away from the car and someone asks you, "Hey, Dad, can you pop the trunk? I need to get something out of it." Well, no, I can't. There's no buttons on this. Or, "Hey, honey, can you unlock the car? I need to run and get something." Well, again, no, I can't. I have to have this in my pocket, or whoever needs to get stuff out of the car has to have this in their pocket. That is such a frustrating user experience. Volvo, just go back to the key fob that every other automaker uses in 2026. All right, now to the middle row of seats. If you've seen our videos before, you know the drill. I put this seat to where I would have it if I'm sitting up there. I'm 6'1", so I'm basically sitting behind myself, and I've got plenty of room the way the seat is adjusted right now. Headroom is fantastic. I love this roof. One other thing about this roof is that for 2026, Volvo actually adds the functionality where you can turn it from opaque to clear. So that's pretty cool. This 25 version, it's always open like this, but still adds a lot of airiness to the cabin. Plenty of headroom, lots of room for my legs, my knees, my feet. Some other nice features is that this middle row of seats does slide fore and aft. So if you need it closer or further away, that's pretty easy to do. You can also recline it back here. So that's a nice touch. Another nice feature is that in this middle row of seats, you can pop this up and it turns it into a little bit of a booster seat. So that's nice if you have a kid of the appropriate age. If you don't need it, you just pull it right back out of the way. Pretty cool. The seats themselves right here are pretty comfortable, although not if you're sitting here. This is a little firmer because it's got that functionality, but these 2 outboard seats, very comfortable, and they're heated, which is pretty nice. You also have your own climate control back here. Plus down below here, you've got a pair of USB-C charge ports. All right, now to third row space. And as you can see, it's good, but not great. Legroom is okay. I've got this seat to where I had it when I was sitting in the middle row, so there's basically 3 of me sitting tandem here. And like I said, legroom is fine. I could manage some time back here on a longer road trip. It's the headroom, as you can see, and I'm kind of slouched already. The head hits pretty bad. So if you're gonna have tall people in the car, they're gonna want the middle row or the front row. This is not a place to put them back here. This is reserved for kids only. One other reason you're gonna wanna keep adults out of that third row is it's kind of hard to get out. Not only is this opening pretty small, but this door oddly doesn't open that wide. This is as wide as it goes. It feels like it should go another step past this. So yeah, adults, stay in the front. All right, now let's take a look at cargo space. We've got the rear seats up, so that means right here we've got about 11 cubic feet of space. And as a bonus, there's even more space down below to keep things out of sight. All right, next up, driving impressions. And this is an area where the EX90 really excels. And I mean that literally. The acceleration in this thing is phenomenal. We're testing the fully loaded Ultra version with the performance upgrade, which means we have the 510 horsepower. And remember, that jumps up to 670 horsepower for 2026. But as this vehicle stands right now, 510 still gives you pretty breathtaking acceleration. Even if you're expecting it, because a lot of EVs do have really good acceleration, it's pretty remarkable in this car. So I'm loving that. But it's not just straight line speed. This is a comfortable car in any situation. The suspension, it's an air suspension. It's really nicely tuned, so it's not too stiff. It's not too soft. It controls the body roll really well. The steering has a nice amount of feedback to it. But then there's also just the serenity of driving this car. Even on rougher roads like we're on right now, it doesn't translate into the cabin. The cabin is quiet, it's comfortable. And then when you get on the freeway, it's just such a serene driving experience. It's one of the more quiet and enjoyable cars I've driven in that situation in a really long time. This car also has a really nicely tuned one-pedal driving system. You can turn it completely off if that's how you prefer to go, but I love EVs because they offer this feature. It basically allows you to not really use the brake that often. You just come off the throttle and the car will use the regenerative braking to slow itself down. And that's a really efficient way to recapture some energy, but it's got to be tuned right. Not all vehicles offer it and not all vehicles tune it right. I really like how Volvo has calibrated it on this EX90. It's really easy to adjust and adapt to and then use every day. And then there's visibility. It's pretty good. You got a great view of the road looking out in front of you. This A pillar is actually not too thick. It's not too bad. The B pillar over my shoulder is a little wide and thick and does block your view a little bit, but it's not a deal breaker. Rear visibility is also pretty good. We've got the third row of seats folded up, but the headrest folded down, so that's a nice way to see out the back. So overall, pretty good vehicle to see out of. All right, folks, there you have it. Our review of the first ever Volvo EX90 all-electric crossover. Pros, well, we love the smooth ride and the acceleration. It's really pretty breathtaking. We also love the interior, really comfortable, really great build quality, and the exterior styling. It turns heads wherever you go. Cons, well, it's expensive, $94,000 for the version you see here. There's also the touchscreen that controls everything in the car. We just wish for more physical buttons. There are those range estimates, which can be confusing or a little misleading at times. And finally, there are a lot of those little annoyances, like the key fob, the window controls, or the lack of space in the third row. So overall, while we do like a lot of things about this EX90, it's up against some really stiff competition that we would actually recommend more. That includes the BMW iX if you're okay with just 2 rows, or the Rivian R1S or Cadillac Vistic. Those are larger 3-row all-electric crossovers that do everything this car does, but a little bit better, and for either the same price or even less money. So for reviews or listings of this Volvo or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And CarGurus now has a podcast featuring yours truly. You can listen to it wherever you get your other podcasts. And finally, before you go, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you get alerts on all of our future updates. We'll see you out there.